Welcome to the Heroes of Reality podcast, a podcast about the game of life and the hero's journey we all experience. Let's jump in with our host, Dylan Watkins, as he introduces today's guest.
Welcome, adventurers. Dylan here. We just had an internet outage, so it dropped. So we're taking take two for Michal Lovecky, and he is a creative director and XR technologist. He is the founder of CEO of Cyan Planet, on a mission to connect the people with the ocean and evoke empathy for marine life and spark action in marine conservation. Since 2015, he has delivered over 60 immersive media products, pioneering the first ever 8K VR live streaming over a 5G network in Germany, and developed 360 video monitoring techniques to access the corals reefs ecology. He was awarded Deloitte for the high standards in innovation. Michal uses virtual reality as a tool to share his passion for the ocean and democratize access for everyone. As a director and producer of How is the Water, an XR virtual ocean simulation, he was selected for the Cannes Film Festival. And without any delay or internet interruptions, I'd like to welcome my friend, Michal. Hey,
how you doing?
Hey, brother. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm excellent, man. I'm excellent. I'm super excited to talk to you about this. We connected a little while ago because I think you were looking to advertise to the group that we run over in Facebook, and you mentioned that you're trying to save the world's oceans through VR, and I thought that was super duper cool. So we hopped on a little chat. We chatted for a little bit. I was like, "This is great, man. Let's talk a little bit more about this and see where the conversations go." So I would love to just first start off with, like, how did you get into wanting to save the world's oceans with VR? Can you talk just a little bit about the beginning of your journey?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
Sure.
So I guess the very start was when I started with freediving and found out that ocean, or being underwater, is my natural environment. And then later, when we were with my partner Nenya freediving in Brazil, we saved a turtle that was stuck in a shipwreck while freediving, and that was really this moment when we thought, okay, we should use our skills. She as a marine biologist and me as a VR technologist to do something. And that's how Is the Water was born. And actually, the whole Cyan Planet grew around the project.
That's awesome. So can you talk a little bit about Cyan Planet, like what that means to you?
Well, for me, it's we are a group of people that are passionate about the ocean and want to share that passion with others. And we see immersive media or virtual reality as the tool to share that passion, because VR is great in providing different experiencing and transporting people or giving them the opportunity to experience different perspectives. So that's why we want to use VR and immersive media to share that connection, or connect people with the ocean and marine life, and let them maybe experience what they would otherwise not be able to experience.
Cool, man. That's great. And yeah, it's interesting how there is kind of similarities between virtual reality and diving in the ocean. You're immersed in this new medium. You're exposed to this environment. It seems somewhat magical. I have I'm scuba dive certified and such, and so I've gone in a couple of different places. And you do have this weird sense that you're literally floating in another reality. I don't know if you ever had it where, like, you're swimming along and then, like, you stop and you look back, and then, like, you see all of these fish everywhere following you, and they're just kind of like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Like that doesn't really make sense. And so you feel like a tourist or a traveler in their environment. You said you felt native. You felt like it's your natural environment. Can you talk to me a little bit more about, like, what makes the ocean feel like a natural environment to you?
I think it's about this weird sense of tranquility and inner peace. You can really relax. Probably a lot of it is physiological, but when you submerge your face, all these mammal diving reflexes kick in. But it's when I originally started in I think it was in Thailand with my first freediving course, not knowing much about freediving, I was fast able to go down to 20 meters, I think. And then, when you turn around, hang there and like looking around, and everything is super peaceful, and just have this deep blue all around you. And it's a very, very, very strong feeling for me. It's the only place where I can really free my head of all the other things. And then when I get up, everyone was asking like, why did you stay down there so long? And I didn't even know that I'm not supposed to do that. It was just felt so natural to just be there, hang there, and like waiting for your body to tell you, okay, you don't really belong here. Go up, you need air. And that's the saddest moment for me because if I can just float with my face down in the water, and let my thoughts or let my mind drift, that's the moment when I think I'm in peace.
Yeah, you kind of you lose yourself. It sounds like a sense of flow. You're immersed. You forget about all of like the outside the ocean's issues that are going on, and you're just like there, present and in the moment. Yeah, I felt that too. I think I have a couple of friends that go like lobster diving or spearfishing. They do things like that, and they tend to get they really love it. There's something about the holding of the breath, the being in the cold, the being focused on the task that just you lose yourself in the moment. They've tried to get me to do lobster diving with them. I haven't quite done that yet. We have lots of great whites in the area, and I'm like, how bad do I want that lobster? I was like, it definitely is like you're like snatching like the prize from the monster, So, but like it's a very cool, and from what I heard, a very like just peaceful experience. That's beautiful. Like, what do you with what you're doing? Like, do you talked about the sea turtle a bit? Is there like one story, one thing, one example that you can give to people that will motivate people to actually want to act? Because when you think about working on the like saving the world's oceans, it's a giant task. It's massive. It's huge. It seems overwhelming. But is there a story that you have, either by why or how, like mostly like why would they get involved into it? What does it mean to get active into it? Is there something that you have, something that either propelled you to get into it, like saving the sea turtle, or something else that has a deep emotional imprint on people?
I think for me, it was the value of life. Because when you look at the ocean, at the sea, it's just reflecting the light very often, and you really have to dive in, immerse yourself in there to discover the whole new world, and discover that in that world that is much bigger than ours, actually, not only that we depend, the whole life on planet depends on the ocean, but there is probably much more life in the ocean than on land, and that's something that is completely hidden for us. And very often, if you have, I don't know, forest fires, for example, it's something that is right in your face. You can imagine it, you can see the consequences, and forest burns down and whatnot. But with the ocean, many of those things are just too distant and hidden. And once you immerse yourself, dive in, and find out that there is so much life and so much to protect, then I think it adds to that picture. The first moment when you even start snorkeling or anything, when you realize that it's not just water and stones, but actual life, then it adds to, at least for me as a somebody from Czech Republic, landlocked country, knowing that the sea is something for vacation probably, or that's how I was raised. that the life there needs to be protected. That's probably the moment or the experience that everyone should get, and that's what we do in Cyan Planet, or what we want to do with How is the Water, to give everyone a way how to experience it, because not everyone can travel or not everyone can dive.
Yeah. So it's really making people aware that the ocean isn't just this large body of water. What it represents is life, and it actually represents more life than the life that's on land. And you want to create a connection with the life that's below with us and say, look, we are the caretakers for life, and this is one of the most important places. We just can't see it. It's like a blanket being thrown over life. And so versus a forest, you can see everything. You have this big blue Cyan planet with a blanket on top of it, and you just can't see it. So it's really about exposing people that, like, this is something that we do need to care for it, and we don't realize that there's a quote unquote a forest fire being burnt below the ocean that we need to focus on. What do you think? What are some of the current facts? What are the current pressing issues going on with the ocean right now? Like what are the major problems that we're currently facing with the ocean? That stands out to you? Like if we could fix a couple of these things, like, what would be a couple of those major things that we could fix if everyone got up and rallied?
I mean, just lately with Seaspiracy, I think they did a great job of pointing out, I think, the major issue, which is the overconsumption and overfishing.
Real quick, Seaspiracy, that's a documentary?
Seaspiracy, the documentary on Netflix.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
And I mean, sometimes the science behind, and let's say that might be sometimes controversial, but what they did really well is focusing on the value of life and bringing into the spotlight this issue of overfishing. Mm-hmm. When we are all about protecting the ocean, and there are temperature rises and ocean acidification and all these problems and bycatch and all that, but I mean, what they point a finger very well at is that overfishing is right now the number one reason for an overfishing, like stocks or fish that should not be by definition, because where they are very important in the whole chain. And I think that's the number one problem, and the whole overconsumption, in a sense. I mean, of course, you have sound pollution and all these other problems, but in terms of ocean health, we have done a tremendous job in destroying what's down there, and in getting many species to extinction, actually.
Is there, so we're saying like the big thing is that we eat a lot, where we consume too much, right? And so we're basically scraping through the oceans and depleting all of its resources. Is there a way to have seafood, or a way to have that in a way that doesn't destroy the oceans, or is there some other way, or a certain type of seafood that people have? Like, because people are going to eat, they have to eat, they want to eat.
No.
But what would you recommend instead? Is there another alternative that they could do?
Not sure. I'm really not an expert on this topic, but from my perspective, it's not about, we don't have to go vegan. It's more about, I would say, not trying to transport tons of fish from I don't know where, in the middle of where they don't belong, just for us to consume it, and consume a lot of it. I think if we manage to fish locally and consume locally in the quantities that would be normal, let's say, or adequate to supply, because there's really plenty. It's just the way how we harvest the ocean and how we destroy the ocean and how we don't give the ocean the opportunity to regenerate, or basically that we are taking much more than we need, and that can the ocean provide, and in a way that is not even possible for the ocean to regenerate. Take trawling and all other kinds of fishing that basically destroy the environment, and nothing can grow there or live there anymore after. So I would say mindfully and under specific management, taking care of the ocean, so we don't overconsume and overstock, I don't know, supermarkets 5,000 kilometers away from the ocean.
Got it. So it's locally, sustainably, mindfully going into the ocean and making sure that you only support the businesses that really do it in a healthy and regenerative way. Like there's regenerative farming. Yeah, it's like that. Cool. That's awesome. And so let's talk just a little bit about your journey with what you've done with this. I mean, so it was, I believe it started out as more of a 360 video. Maybe I'm wrong in that when it became more, and it got into the demo state. Can you talk to me a little bit about your journey with the product that you're building and kind of where you are at today?
Yeah. So how is the water specifically? Or I'm coming from the...
Start with how's the water. You start with that, because that seems like that's the initiation, and then it evolved into something different. So
yeah, absolutely. The project started with Biennale College Cinema, where we got selected in 2019, I think. Yeah, January 2019. And in the scope of Biennale, it began as a interactive, quite linear experience. With strong focus on narration, and we always had this aim that we want to give people the opportunity to experience the ocean from a perspective of a local, from a perspective of a marine animal. So that's consistent, but throughout the development, we figure out that if we want to build this ocean simulation or ocean environment, we have to put in a lot of work in terms of 3D assets and animal AI and all that. And it would be, we could do much more with that than just, 15 minutes interactive experience that we have looked into. We have also got funded by Bavarian Film Commission here in Games section, which again, last year shifted the project more towards games and XR games and all that entertainment perspective in the project. So right now I'm really happy for the project as it is now, because it got bounced from all these sides, the storytelling part, the narrative part, and now more with the focus on gameplay in the last year. And we played a lot with our prototype and we were trying to figure out how to approach the project from a perspective of a game. And now we realize that the best way forward with the project is actually full-blown virtual ocean simulation, where people can interact with each other, can experience different perspectives. It doesn't need to be a dolphin, it can be a shark, it can be a whale, and let this, say, emergent gameplay take over the experience and let people learn through playing. And I don't know if a simulation or a game or experience is the right term for it. And I hope everyone will experience it or play it from their own angle.
Love it. And so you went from being someone that does primarily like narrative driven storytelling in a 360 immersive environment to more of an interactive social virtual world per se.
Yeah.
Right. So you're doing that evolution, because generally speaking, when you especially with 360 videos, you go through and you do it once and you're like, oh, that's cool. You take it off. There's nothing for you to do. There's nothing for your brain to really engage with and learn with and to grow with. And so being able to switch it to something that's more interactive, especially social, is something that then allows for people to kind of discover things, learn through doing, and also learn through sharing with others, which is probably like the best ways that we can learn as humans is that whole process of learn by doing, learn by sharing, and then develop a relationship with the ocean as you go through this, which I think is a great direction.
Exactly.
Completely great going. It goes with my personal philosophy on social VR and all the good that you can do with it. When you're mapping out these things, so the virtual ocean simulator could be very, very massive, right? It's a grand vision. It's wonderful, but it's a grand vision. So let me ask you a question. How do you design that type of thing? How do you design that type of world? To you, what do you think about? What's your mindset? What's your process for creating this thing? Like, how do you take small bites of the whale, I should say?
Yeah, exactly as you said. It's a huge bite to chew on, and I think the key is to slice it or make it a modular, basically, modular development, where we have tested that, for example, interactions between species or animals underwater and the player. It's easy to do one-on-one. It gets a bit more complicated when you have if you have mackerel, shark, and a dolphin, and if you introduce 30 or 40, it's a complete mess, and the complexity scales up. So yeah, the key to that and how we are approaching it now, also with for example funding, we are looking at it as a modular development, where we know that we start with one playable character, one perspective, and for example one environment, because of course ocean simulation, that means that we want to go with tropical coral reefs, but also with Arctics, Antarctics, deep sea exploration, all that, and we of course need to take it step by step and approach it from that perspective. Even though we have been we're very lucky with all our partners, and everyone would like to see this from their perspective developed. So we already have inquiries about full dome projection, for example. Again, turning back to more linear 360 format, and sure, great. We have a ocean simulation. But again, something like a full dome projection, that's a completely different format, completely different design process.
Yeah.
And I would love to see it in as many places as possible, so we can deliver on our impact goals. And basically, it's an impact project to change humans' behavior. But yeah.
So let's expand on that a little bit. You're talking about an impact project with impact goals. Can you talk to me just a little bit about what is an impact project? Can you explain it just briefly, and then talk to me about your personal impact goals with this project?
So we have 3 impact pillars around how is the water. The first is educational part, or educational pillar, where we want to distribute the experience to schools and classrooms and youth without the access to the ocean. That's the first part. Second pillar is actually what makes How is the Water an impact project. It's intertwining impact mechanics directly in the gameplay. So, for example, when we implement coral gardening, you are tending your own coral garden in VR, but also at the same time, thanks to our partnership with marine organizations, you'll be able to directly support real-world coral reef restoration. And that way, we bridge the gap between say, the moments when we are the most engaged. For example, with when you are watching something on Netflix that is pro-environmental, you are super engaged and you want to take the action and so on. But at that moment, Netflix tells you, okay, and you finished this, let's watch another thing. Let's binge watch through the night. And so it's not the best impact tool. That's why we would like to see How is the Water as this bridge between really, in a playful way, being engaged in pro-environmental marine conservation virtually, but also be just a click away from taking the action in the real world,
Yeah,
together with marine organizations.
That's awesome. And it's awesome that you educate people, you get them excited and engaged, and then you give them some action to take that actually has a direct benefit on the planet, which is beautiful impact mechanics. What's the third the third pillar?
The third pillar. So we have education, we have the direct connection, and then now I just lost it. Education in game, and the direct connection with industry and enterprises, because we believe that once we have this ocean simulation or virtual ocean simulation, I mean, the use for that should be so beyond education and entertainment, but also connecting it to science, research, and let's say blue economy or blue industry that is now dealing with issues like data visualization or other things connected, for example, different simulation, for example, to train AI for underwater vehicles and things like that. So I mean, it gets even more complex, of course, but we would like to see how is the water as the ultimate ocean simulation used in many different ways and for the benefit of stakeholders that are now managing and benefiting from the ocean.
So little clarity on the pillar 3. Is it a business and science resource pillar? So you're saying that it's what businesses and academics use, ideally, like the goal being they're going to use it as a simulator, they'll use it as a tool, they'll use it as a way to better understand. And so the difference between that and the first pillar of education is educating people that aren't technical experts or have that in the space. Then the second one is mechanics where they can get involved. And you're saying the third pillar is ones that people have some sort of direct connection, either scientifically or monetarily to the ocean, and then they can use this as a tool. Is that, am I getting correct?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
Great sound.
Cool. Just clarifying that. That's awesome. With those ones, and you came up with those pillars. Is there metrics? Is there numbers behind those? Are there like, hey, we want to get X amount of these people, we want to do this by this date? Is there some sort of metrics or roadmap you have to see if you're on the path to get to those pillars or follow those pillars? Yeah.
Yes. So we are working on different goals with different marine organizations and different partners. So, for example, with distributing the experience in school and classrooms, we would like to see this. Right now, the 3 years goal is around 250,000 youths and children. And we feel quite confident reaching it once the experience is done, because thanks to those partnerships, we know that we don't have to build those educational programs on our own. We will provide how is the water and boost educational programs of our partners that have the experience. And I mean, we don't dare to go that way, that we would be doing all, and we want to focus on developing how is the water and let experts and people with years of experience with ocean literacy and other topics to give them basically another tool, another opportunity how to boost their activities.
That's cool. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about where you are right now in terms of, so you've building VR can be expensive. It's a challenge. It can be a process. It's a labor of love. It's an amazing, wonderful thing, but it's also a highly technical challenge to get into the space. So right now, you've been pushing into the areas of crowdfunding, if I'm not mistaken. I'd love to learn just a little bit about that journey. What brought you into there? How did you go about it, and that kind of process?
So crowdfunding for us is the first step in a fundraising process, and it's been awesome journey, a hectic, beyond imagination, and took approximately 6 months of my life, or the life of my team.
Yeah.
And it might seem then that the goals or the financial reward is not as high as it should be, but there are many more aspects to crowdfunding, and it's been an amazing experience, especially in terms of community building, getting the communication right, discovering, developing the project itself to bring the most value to people while doing this. Because I mean, as we touched on that several times, this can be a 15 minutes long linear interactive experience for Oculus Quest, or it can be also a science tool to visualize data, in a sense. So it's been a great several months, really crushing the project and again bringing it back together and looking at it from different perspectives. So that helped. It's a Kickstarter or crowdfunding in general is a product launch, in a sense, with all that it comes with that. So from advertising, marketing, online to really looking at our prototype and rethinking many design decisions that we did during prototyping, that we made during prototyping, and so on.
So break this down and if you could just bucket into phases, right? Let's just break this down. 6 months, right? And you're right, because it's everyone looks at something like, oh, you're just an overnight success, congratulations, and you're like, you don't know how long it took me to get here. And so, but people just look at it and they're just like, oh, that's great, someone. So let's just look at the 6 months. If you were to bucket the 6 months and say, okay, month 1 we did this, month 2 we did this. That's just a simple short summary. What did you do for each of the months going through this whole process, just so that people can have an understanding of the journey and an appreciation for what does it take to actually push through something you're deeply passionate for and you have a belief in?
Okay, so first 2 months was trying to orient in what it means to launch a Kickstarter campaign or to bring a product like this to Kickstarter, because you'll find many guides and tutorials on how to launch another best e-bike or I don't know what kind of other gadget. And there is a lot on games, of course, but we just don't really fit into many structures doing VR, XR, marine conservation. So that was first challenge to figure out how to even launch, how to approach it. Do we need to put emphasis on PR, or do we need to really put all our time and energy into building a community? So that took about 2 months, trying, testing. We tried building our mailing list, tried with our super slim budget, play with Facebook ads and all that. So that then went over the third and fourth month. And then when we made a decision and logged the date for the launch, then everything suddenly became super hectic and I got fried. And because you need to take care of PR, you need to take care of a Kickstarter video, which is super important. The whole Kickstarter page has to look nice and also tell the right story. Talking to partners, getting your reward structure in place, pricing, and all that. And now you are in a process where you are launching a game at the same time an impact project. So as a non-profit basically, or social enterprise. So there were not that many guidelines that we could stick to, and we had to take the best out of everything. And by far, I'm not an expert. Launched my first Kickstarter campaign. It's been an experience of my life, definitely priceless. So yeah, the first 2 months, research, get somebody who can help you launch, some agency. Third and fourth month, testing, getting your communication in place, and that fifth, sixth month before, or the last month before the launch, make sure that you did that you have prepared as many things as you could, from PR lists to community to your reward packages, do your math and projections, and be prepared for different scenarios, because that's something that I learned the hard way, that you should be prepared for everything going wrong, and how you then behave, or what you can do to counter the effects of, for example, your strategic partner having a blackout for 3 hours during the launch hours, and your whole affiliate structure of links suddenly is not working, and your strategic partner is having a Pacific time. You are launching in the afternoon European time, so that means that they are still sleeping when that happened. And now we are trying to call somebody in LA and getting them to wake up and fix their something to make all the affiliate links work, because now people can't get to your Kickstarter campaign when you said that you'll go live, and you're then live in 3 hours. So I mean, 1,000 stories, definitely an experience. And so far it's been going really good for so many hiccups that we have experienced.
So let me just paraphrase back a little bit, and I have a question about this. Okay, so first couple months, just understanding the best of, like, here's the best of this, watch the best of that, just kind of learning, right? Yeah. Then when you see the flag in the sand, you're like, oh, we go live on that date? Wow, that's close. Then everything's on fire, and now you're throwing everything in, and you have to make a video. You got to make it look good. You got to get all stuff. You got to get the package. You got to get things going. You got to get all that stuff going. All those pieces are together, right? And then when you go to launch it, you really want to make sure that the technical flow works, right? Like, can people buy stuff? Can people go this? Will the message go out here? Does everything function? Or are you dumping sand into a funnel with a lid on it? So no sand's actually going into it. It's just being blocked at the top. And so you want to first understand the environment. Then you want to basically just mad dash create as much as you can, prepare as best you can, test everything so it works. And then now that you're in the mix of it, and you're doing the day-to-day of the Kickstarter, because you're in the process of Kickstarter right now. Yeah. You're going through it right now. You're trying to drive traffic to there to get them to convert and purchase or support you in the project. What does your current day-to-day look like? What does that look like? Like, how are you trying to go about that? What is that? What's that? What's going on?
So most of the day you are just spamming F5 on your keyboard and refreshing that Kickstarter page for your pledges. The first thing that you do when you wake up, you look at your phone, refresh that page, and look at that. That's 99% of the time.
Yeah. Is it working?
1%, and the rest of the day you are just reaching out to people, getting the word out, trying to get the traffic to your page. Working, we have amazing network of ambassadors, so working with them to spread the word, think of other partners or networks that we could tap into. I'm sorry for many Facebook groups that we have spent with our Kickstarter campaign over the last 2 weeks. Probably like 3 or 4 Facebook accounts got blocked temporarily for doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a hell of a ride, but yeah, it takes definitely team preparation and dedication then for more than a month. For us, it's been already now, I think, 2 months nonstop when everyone is working weekends and trying to get the best out of the campaign.
Yeah. That's funny and very, very honest. I love that. It's totally true. I could imagine that because you put in so much time. You want to see. You're playing a very specific game. The game is go up, hit a number, right? And that's what you. And for this amount of time, you've put 6 months into it. So I completely understand because it's a very clear game. That number go up. It's very how to make that happen is whatever you need to do. And I know I've given you permission to spam my group. So I take no offense. I hopefully no other bots did that. It's a very noble cause, but again, it's one of those ones that it's like you have to have this like willingness to like know that you're spamming people, but be okay with it, And there's this
and do it in the right way, do it in the right way. We kept it once a week in a group, so it's like 2-3 posts. But when you start doing it in because there are so many groups, I don't know. We have a list of 500 relevant groups to our target groups. We are not spamming everyone, but even that, doing then once a week, going through 500 groups, takes time, and then you really feel sometimes bad because even though it's 1 post per week somewhere, then you have this feeling that you are acting as a bot, and
totally. You feel like you feel like a real life bot. That's like please buy. Yeah,
this is monkey work, and you are constantly thinking like there must be a better way to do this.
I know, man. That's great. But it's one of those things that you want to make this happen, but you also want to do it in a genuine way, a way that represents you, something that you can be proud of, right? And that's the thing is you want to evangelize without feeling icky and gross. And sometimes online marketing can make people feel icky and gross, even if you're trying to save the planet and save the ocean. It can be uncomfortable because people don't always want to hear it. So what lesson would you give people if you had to do this whole thing again? You have to do the whole Kickstarter, everything, that thing again. What's your greatest takeaway? What's the thing if you saw like a younger person of yourself trying to do something similar? What would you say? Hey man, turn left, don't turn right, go straight. What advice would you give?
Prepare as much as you can, because definitely number one takeaway from the whole 6 months is that we felt that we are prepared, but then when you go on a battlefield, you find out that you could have drilled some activities much more. And but that's probably like everything. So preparation, and don't being afraid to ask other people, because there are many people that launch super successful Kickstarter campaigns, and they are usually very happy to help you and share their expertise and experience with you. So
cool.
And ideally launch with a team, because nobody should be working 20 hours a day. So it's better in the team to share the load. Then everyone is working 20 hours a day, but still it's better with other people.
It feels better. Misery likes company, and it's nice. It's nice to have people with you to support you on the cause. Sometimes if you're all struggling in the mud together, it's not as terrible. So I totally get that, man. That's beautiful. Is there any last things you would like to let people know about before you tell them how they get a hold of you and your Kickstarter campaign?
I guess right now my head is only with the Kickstarter campaign and
Sure.
trying to find new ways how to connect people with the ocean. I mean, that's our mission. So anyone out there, we are open to new partnerships. We always are trying to find new use cases for how is the water, how to get the project out, how to connect more people with the ocean, how to really deliver on all our impact goals. Because that's what it is about for us. It's about sharing the passion for the ocean and getting people to act in support of marine conservation. So open to any discussions and helping other people with their ocean narratives. And yeah, right now it's only about for us about the Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
So you can easily find us under How is the Water on Kickstarter. And if you find it interesting, or if you want to get in contact with us, just reach out, and happy to have a chat about How is the Water.
Awesome. So that's great. So if you go to Kickstarter and you search "How is the Water," you'll be able to find your Kickstarter campaign that's live right now, and you can go and support it, which I think is beautiful. So this has been amazing, Michael. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck on your Kickstarter campaign. I did back it as well, so just I am supporting you as a full disclosure thing. But I love what you're doing, man. And I think it's totally needed. People need to build more applications that help people take action to better themselves and to better the planet. So much respect, brother. I really appreciate your time. And
thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. And I'll see you in another reality. Take care, brother.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Heroes of Reality podcast. Check out heroesofreality.com for more episodes. While you're there, you can also take the Heroes Quiz to find out what kind of hero you are. Or, if you have a great story and want to be on the podcast, tell us why your hero's journey will inspire others. Thank you for listening. See you on the other